Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Invisible Condition. It's not all in your head. I'm your host, Jeff Pearson, and we want everybody with an invisible condition, no matter what that condition is, to know beyond the shadow of a doubt, you do have a voice, you do have a community, and you are never, ever alone. Look, on here on Invisible Condition, we know that life can be tough. Of course, sometimes, right? It can be tough. Not going to deny that. We also know that there is always hope. Never forget that. There is always hope. So I want to talk to you just for a second about a couple of things before we bring our amazing guest on for today. We have a nonprofit, and that nonprofit is called Hydro with Hope. And hydro is short for a word called hydrocephalus. And that is the condition that I was born with and diagnosed at 2 weeks old with. And coincidentally, 2 weeks old was the first brain surgery I got to have to treat hydrocephalus. And those of us with this condition have repeated brain surgery over our lifetime. I, thankfully, in my 48 years on this planet, have only had 7 of those brain surgeries. I know people half my age that have had many, many more. And so everybody's story is different and everybody needs support. And so that is what Hydro with Hope is for. We are looking to support people in tangible ways. We have a journal that we want to send to people that have that helps them navigate that journey of holy smokes, brain surgery again, really. And just dealing with everything, the aftermath of brain surgery and all the things. And so we have come to a point now, 3 years in, that we have way too much to do and way too little resources to do it. And so we would love to partner with you, and we would love for you to donate to our nonprofit. Go to hydrowithhope.com to do that. And also we are actively growing our board of directors to be able to search out more of those fundraising opportunities. So if you know of anybody that would be an amazing board member that could help us grow, please get in touch with me. I'm going to put up an email here. Just email me at this address and let me know. And at the same time that you're emailing me about that, if you know anybody that would love to advertise on this show, we get out to a lot of people in a lot of platforms. If you love what we're doing and think that your company or product or service would be a good partner with us, please let me know. I'd love to talk to you. Let's do it. Let's partner together. All right. Now, I want to introduce you to Jimmy Owens. Jimmy is a multifaceted professional with really a remarkable 30-year career as a USA swim coach. And his life took a very dramatic turn in November of 2023 when he had a heart transplant, which that's pretty dramatic, right? Heart transplants are no joke. My dad had one a few years ago too. Not a transplant. Never mind, that wasn't a transplant. Heart surgery is a big deal, right? So we're going to talk about that. His surgery, Jimmy's surgery, has inspired many, many, many people, leading him to become a sought-after keynote speaker and best-selling author. And we're going to talk about a couple of those books. He's got one more coming up, guys, but we don't have a cover for it yet, so we're just going to have to wait. His story is a testament to the power of perseverance and the human spirit. I can't wait for you to meet him. Let's bring him on and see what's going on here. Jimmy, thank you so much for being here, man.
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me. Hi, Jeff. My gosh, 7 surgeries. Is that what you said?
I had about 15 surgeries. Only 7 of them are brain surgeries.
Oh, my
so,
God.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a wild ride, I tell you. So
I can't even imagine. I'll tell you about real quickly, just being in the hospital for a heart transplant, which was just shock to me. I was an athlete my whole life and thought I was doing great, went to work in the movie industry, and lo and behold, in 2023, found out that I had congestive heart failure for a little while, and they asked me, "You had a heart attack?" And I said, "No." Well, it turns out that I got COVID, and the COVID I couldn't get over after having 3 vaccines and working with kids, and I had just been in the pool the week before I got COVID, and I said, "Man," 14 days later, I wasn't feeling good, and I got up and I passed out and went to the doctor, and they said, Mr. Owens, you need to go to ER. Your blood pressure is 60/40 and your heart rate's 49 beats a minute. And
Jeez.
I already had a pacemaker because I knew that I had congestive heart failure. So they said, you need to go to ER right now. We can't even touch you. And I went right to ER and I said, oh, no, I knew I wasn't getting out. My wife was with me and she wasn't about to let me get out of there. So they took me in the ER. A couple days later, I was in the hospital and they kept me in the ER for 3 days. And then I was in the hospital for 10 more days. And the cardiologist came to us and said, Mr. Owens, we're going to send you to the heart transplant team. And can you imagine how your thought process, heart transplant? You're going to take my heart out and put a new heart in? Well, first thing you think of is somebody has to die for me to live. That made me cry, and I was like, oh, wow. So when I got to UCLA, the heart transplant team came in and met me. And they said, don't think of it like that, because I was very emotional that, I already thought, man, I've lived a great life. I've done great for kids. I've taught high school for 20 years. I did all these great things, and I'm very proud of what I've done, and I said, maybe it's my time, and that was the first thought. The second thought became, I don't want to leave yet. I'm not ready. Just give me new medicine. And they were like, no, the medicine does not work. And people look at me and I probably don't, I hope I don't look 65 years old, because I'm going to be 65 in a couple months. And most people say 65. What we thought maybe 50, 54, that 10 years younger. And I said, thanks. I'll take that. Right. However, the heart transplant team came in and told me that if I didn't get a new heart, my story was over. Yeah. And you talked about your dad having heart surgery. And I know many people that have had open heart surgeries where they've had to fix a valve or fix an artery that was clogged or whatever might have happened. But I had to get a whole new heart, which means they had to take out my heart that I'd had my whole life and put in somebody else's heart. So that's where I am now, buddy. I am here, and I will be honest with you. It's been 1 year and 4 months, and I feel better than I felt in 20 years. So
nice. I love that. And my dad it was just a valve replacement. It was, he found out when he was going in the Army at 18 that he had a faulty valve, but they're like, it's not a problem now. Just wait till it's a problem and then get surgery. So it didn't become a problem until he was 69 years old. And then he went in and they cracked open the chest and replaced the valve, and he's going strong. So, but it's no joke. Anytime you go cracking in there, man, it can be dicey. So, but along with that, there's a lot of cool stuff that can come from that, right? So I got to ask you a question that I ask everybody at the very beginning of the show, and there's no wrong answer, and they're all awesome. So don't worry, no pressure. But on the hard days, on those days that you were like, oh my gosh, what's going on? What's happening? And all the stuff's running through your head, and somebody's got to die for me to live, and all the thing, right? All the hard times. How do you still maintain hope?
Okay. This is 100% honest answer. There were many days that I was a little scared, a lot scared enough till I called my family and said, you need to come out here. They live in Florida and Idaho. And I said, I don't know if this is the end or not. But I also, because of my 30 years of coaching, had in the back of my mind, never tell yourself you're not going to make it. And so I didn't tell myself I wasn't going to get out of here. As a matter of fact, at first I was in extreme denial that why can't medicine fix me? And I had a t-shirt. Oh gosh, I should have brought it to show everybody. I had a t-shirt that was given to my team, and we hung it up on the wall, and it said, never, never, never give up. And which is eventually became the name of my book, Never, Never, Never. And I used one more never because I wanted to give homage to the four chambers of the human heart. So, which is why there's four nevers instead of what was on my shirt, the three nevers. Nice. But the honest truth is, I literally was scared many times. I don't want to get too much into the medical terms of things, but they put me on a machine called an ECMO machine, which takes out your blood, cleans it up, and then puts it back in. So I'm not having to have what most of the kidney patients have to have, where they take the blood out and clean it. This was through my femoral arteries in my legs. So now I had 2 tubes coming out of my legs. And they told me that this is not a life-giving machine. It's a life-saving machine that you can be on for only about 12 weeks. And after that 12 weeks, we have to take you off. But what it did, because when I was in the hospital, my liver was 50% cirrhosis. My kidneys were at stage 4 kidney failure. And my heart was only pumping at what they call 18% refraction rate. It was only pumping 18% volume when the average adult is 50 and up. I currently have 75% volume coming out of my new heart.
Very
So
nice.
That's amazing. So this ECMO machine, what happened was it was giving me oxygenated blood, and the only organ in your body that regenerates is your liver. I'm thinking to myself, well, why do I have liver cirrhosis at first? I don't drink. I don't smoke. I've never done drugs. I said, why do I have liver cirrhosis other than the medication they gave me? Those are the only drugs I was taking. And so right away, I'm Mr. Bad Patient. It's your medicine that's causing these problems, and they were like, no, it's not. They're keeping you alive. Well, the ECMO machine regenerated my liver because I was weeks. So when they did the final test before surgery, they said, your liver's perfect. It's 100%. And I said, wow. And my kidneys went from stage 4 to stage 2 kidney failure. And for an old person, that's not bad. And they said, all we have to do is get a new heart in you. And so then I had to wait another couple of weeks for a donor to get
Is that all? Sure. That's no. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a huge process. I'm wearing the pin of the organization, One Legacy, who handles organ ion tissue transplant here in Los Angeles County. Well, there's 7 counties, over 20 million people that they have to represent. And I looked up some of the statistics, and there was only 170 heart transplants the year I got mine. So I'm one of 170 in the Los Angeles County area. And I don't know how many survived. I do know that I survived. And I do know like 4 or 5 people from UCLA, the place where I was, that have also gotten an organ transplant and survived. We stay in contact, and we actually have meetings once a month where the transplant recipients meet and talk about their experiences and what we're doing now and how much better we feel, or if there's a problem, we get to talk about that and get answers from people that have been through what we're going through. And I've met transplant recipients that have had their heart for 20 years. And I said, wow, that's amazing. I've had my heart for a year and 4 months, 20 years. That's really good hope for me, know, and I'm pretty healthy. My weight hasn't come up. I'm still 168 pounds, which when I went into the hospital, I was 212 pounds.
Ooh, wow.
And most of that was because the water that my heart, it wasn't pumping quick enough to get rid of the fluid out of my body. So I was holding water. And there's all kinds of stuff I can tell you about that transplant, but the answer to that question was yes. I was scared, but did I keep hope? I kept hope because I knew as a coach, I had taught my kids, you always have to believe in yourself. Number one, you have to tell your brain to tell your body, hey, I'm a champion. I'm a champion. Whether you are or not, you got to start believing that. And I told myself every single day, I'm getting out of here. I'm getting out of here. I'm getting out of here. I'm not ending up in this hospital. I'm not dying here.
Yeah.
And the doctors used to come in and see me every morning, and they would laugh occasionally and say, "Oh, coach, how you doing today?" They didn't even know my name. I don't think they did. And because I had all my kids' pictures on the walls, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. But
nice.
It was one of those things where they knew that I was the kind of patient that said, who doesn't get out of the hospital? People that don't get up and take care of themselves. And I was that guy. Get me up and walk. Get me up and make me do something. So I'm moving my body around. And right after transplant, day 1, as soon as I woke up, within a couple hours, I was out of bed. And I didn't get very far, but I was out of bed. And got to the door, had to turn around and come back. And because I think the medication they had given me was still affecting me.
Oh, yeah.
The next day I got up and I got out the door to the nurse's station. to come back. I was like, oh God, get me back to the bed. And by the third day, I made a whole lap around the nurse's area. Nice. And by the fourth day, I was doing 2 laps. And I think it took about a week or two after surgery that I had already made like 4 laps at a time. And then they had got me up 3 times a day to walk. So I was doing it multiple times. And they knew then that I was going to be the guy that's going to make it. Even though they had to fix my medicine, and there's a lot of things that went wrong. I had an infection, which I had to go back in for another week to try to clear up the infection. It was from the ECMO, and the tube that was in my leg had gotten germs in it, and in the wound, and that caused an infection.
Yeah.
And then, my gosh, it was a lot of different things happened. I had rejection. Your body thinks that it's a foreign object that's in your body, and it tries to fight it off. So they had to increase my rejection medications to where I didn't have any rejection symptoms. And as of today, still, it's now been 1 year and 2 months, and they did a test just 2 weeks ago. No rejection. Everything looks good.
Nice. Very good.
I had a few issues, but those issues I care about. I will tell you that's the best hospital and doctors and nurses. I just have to thank them, thank God, and thank the donor, his family. And I don't know the donor, that they're going to give a legacy gift of life that will live on. And I don't know how many people this person saved, because an organ donor can donate save up to 8 lives. And that doesn't include eye and tissue, which could be up to 100 or more. It's amazing. And I'm a lucky person.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going to leave that answer to that question. It's a long answer. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good, man. There's never a wrong answer. Like I said, I love it. I love every one of them. So, hey, we're gonna go to a break just real quick. In just a minute here, I do want to say, for those of you who are watching, by the way, thank you for being here. And if you are watching on either of these platforms here, reach out. Please reach out. If you have a question for Jimmy, or you're like, wow, I can relate, or, oh my gosh, my dad had something like that, or, oh my gosh, my brother, or whatever, just swap stories, man. Get on Facebook, get on YouTube. If you're watching on one of those platforms, super easy to comment. Just throw a comment on there, and Jimmy can get back to you. We'll, in the show notes, we'll have a way to contact him. I'm going to put up a QR code at the beginning of the next segment, so that you can get in touch with Jimmy. And anything that you relate to during this show, reach out. We always love that interaction. So definitely. And everybody stick around. We got a lot more of the story to come. We will be back in just a couple of minutes. We'll see you soon. I'd love to talk to you a little bit about our sponsor, Dunamis Marriages. And now, struggling marriages often lead to a dramatic sense of disconnection from your spouse that can seem suffocating. Even if your marriage is doing pretty well, there is a way for you to thrive no matter what. Dunamis Marriages believes that God designed marriage to be a lifelong, heart-connected journey. And they're here to help you get there at Dunamis Marriages. Located in Colorado Springs, Colorado, their faith-based marriage intensive has an 83% success rate. I'm going to say that again. 83% success rate. Guiding couples through deep emotional healing and lasting transformation. Why is that important? Because most marriage counseling has a less than 10% success rate, leaving broken hearts and marriages in its wake. Led by Dr. Pauline Dillard, who brings over 42 years of marital wisdom, these marriage intensives are different. Typical marriage counseling is more of a once a week for an hour type of thing that can last for years and really end up getting you nowhere. The intensive model that Dr. Pauline uses brings couples together. Each session lasts about 2 to 3 hours and is conducted over 5 to 6 sessions. The time that you invest in a marriage intensive will combine biblical truth with proven psychological principles to restore communication, trust, and intimacy. At Dunamis Marriages, they don't just treat symptoms. They equip you with the tools to build a thriving, Christ-centered marriage. If you're ready to break free from frustration and rekindle your relationship God's way, act now. Visit DunamisMarriages.com today. That's DUNAMAS marriages.com. And take that first step toward a stronger, more fulfilling marriage. Build your marriage on a solid foundation and enjoy your spouse like you never thought possible.
Hey there. You know, every time someone comes into your business or website and uses their card to pay, a percentage of that gets folded back into the system. But it can go to Hydro with Hope instead. If you'd like your business to support us rather than feed back into the system, scan the QR code and we'll show you how to do that while saving your business money.
Hi everyone, I'm Andy.
And I'm Minna.
We're the hosts of Chronically Healthy Life.
Join us Fridays at 7 p.m. Central Time on Vitality TV to see how we flip the idea of chronic on its head and create chronic health in our bodies, minds, finances, and relationships right here on E360 TV.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Jimmy, for being here. This is awesome. If you guys were here for the first segment, we still got some more to talk about. We got some really amazing information, background information, and just kind of the start of the journey, yes, heart surgery is no joke, so we want to keep going though. So first thing I want to do is so we've got your website on here with the QR code. What are people going to find when they go there, and how can they reach you?
Well, first off, when you go to the website, you'll have to sign in a little sheet that says I can send you emails back. And the website talks mostly about my speaking at your organization. And I travel around the country and talk to people about my story and overcoming obstacles and to achieve your goals. And so you'll see the different speeches that I have done, the different topics that I talk about, whether it be working with multiple generations through our life. We now have 4 generations in the workforce. Yep. From baby boomers to Gen Xers, the Gen Zers, which are the new kids, and the millennials, of course, and certain generations are born into technology where people like me were not. But do we want to understand to work with those people? We do, and I use some of the Gen Zers. Listen, they're reverse mentoring me, and then I help them because I've created 3 businesses in my life, and they ask me tons of questions on what do I need to do to start a business? What do I need to do to get this? And that's where we can help each other. It's when you think about that's one of my main topics. I love talking about multiple generations. The other topic is about overcoming obstacles to achieve your goals. And you have to learn to, like I tell the swimmers, you've got to learn to set your goals. And they've got to be smart goals. They got to be exactly what it is that you're doing, the type of goal like if I'm an athlete, the type of goal that I need for an athlete, the type of goal that I need for a business entrepreneur. So it's got to be a smart goal. The other thing that I talk about is the S.W.I.M philosophy, which I created while I was in the hospital. And do I have a moment to touch on that?
Absolutely. Go for it.
So the S.W.I.M philosophy, which because I was a swimming coach for over 30 years, I thought to myself, what did I used to tell the kids? Number 1, S is you got to be serious. It doesn't mean you got to be serious enough to be the greatest of all time like Michael Phelps, but you've got to be serious. You've got to set your goals, to figure out what it is I'm going to do to be better than where I am to get to the next level. Nice. And the W stands for you've got to want to win. And again, I want to emphasize that doesn't mean you got to take first place. It means you want to be better than where you are
Yep.
now and where you want to go. You know, it's you got to want to win. You can't play a sport, an activity, have a company, do a business without wanting to improve.
Right.
If you do, you're just throwing your money away, and I'll take it. You know, don't.
Right. Me too. Yeah. Bring it on. If you're just going to throw it away, I'll use it. Yeah.
Exactly. Because what do they say? Like 83% of most entrepreneurs fail in the first 3 years. It's like, that's a pretty incredible number.
That's a big number.
You've got to want to win. So the I stands for you must be inspirational. And that doesn't mean inspiring others in the program. That means you got to sometimes self-inspire yourself. When I was in that hospital, I had to say to myself, despite you heard me tell you how scared I was, I had to say to myself, every day I'm getting out of here. I'm not dying here. I'm not ending my story here. And as an athlete, you have to say to yourself, it's cold outside. It's raining outside. I don't want to go to practice. It literally is freezing outside at 5:30 in the morning, and there's ice on the kickboards. I don't want to go to practice, but I went. And by me going and the 4 or 5 kids that did show up, we inspired each other to do our best work, you know, with just those few kids. And it's the same as a business owner. You know, you might have many days when you say to yourself, I'd rather just sleep in because I was up late last night at a meeting. I don't want to get up and do what I have to do. And but my goal says I have to do what I got to do, right? You got to set that time framed goal. So you got to get up and do what you need to do to get it done. And then the M stands for motivation. And motivation doesn't come from somebody who's being inspirational. It comes from yourself. I've motivated myself many times to do what I don't want to do. And I say to the swimmers, when they see you improving, that's going to make the entire team improve. And when I say team, that could be your workforce. That could be your team of people in your company. I spent 15 years in the movie industry. So we work together as a team to create something, whether you're a cameraman, a gaffer, a lighting operator like myself, a sound engineer, whether you're the set builder, you all have to work together as a team to create that show. Just like E60, your television show here, they all have to work together to create. It's not
just me here. Yeah, there's a team, man. That's how it works. Yeah.
So the SWIM stood for serious, winning, inspirational, and motivation. And that's my main topic that I talk about, to overcoming adversity and achieving your goals.
I love that, man. That's so cool. And it kind of goes back to something you said in the first segment, which was when you were, you were in the hospital and then you went through the surgery and then you got out of surgery and they started to realize that you were sticking around. This wasn't somebody that was going to give up, right? You were doing laps and
correct.
I can relate, man. I had a brain surgery. Actually, I had to have 2 back-to-back brain surgeries within 24 hours in 2014. And it was because of a bacterial infection they found in the fluid that they didn't want to get to the brain. And so anyway, I was in the hospital for 3 weeks. And for about 2 of those weeks, all I did was sit around and they were just pumping me full of antibiotics to kill the bacterial infection before they would even do the surgery. Right. And so what do? I could sit there and wallow and go, oh my God, I'm so bored. This sucks. Or I could do laps. And so I did hundreds of laps around that floor, man. I couldn't go down in the elevator. I couldn't go up in the elevator. I couldn't go anywhere. I was stuck on that floor. But I literally probably did, in that 3 weeks, I probably walked 50 miles around that hall. And so it's, you got to do what you got to do, man. Keep yourself going. So
you have to tell yourself, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get out of here. Yes. You have to believe you're going to get out of here.
Exactly.
I say in my book that I wrote, and matter of fact, I think I've said it in 2 of the books. I said in on an interview with Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps, everybody knows, the greatest swimmer of all time, the most gold medals of any male athlete in swimming. Totally. And he did an interview, and he said on the interview, and you can probably find it even on Instagram or one of those formats, that there were 100 days a year this man didn't want to go to practice.
Sure.
Now, but he went anyway because his goal is to make every practice, and his goal is to do whatever it takes. And even though he might have only given 20 or 30% during those days, that's still more than those people that didn't go to practice. And that's why when Michael Phelps talks about his races, why I call him the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Totally. And I'm sure many people do, just like Katie Ledecky, they call her the greatest of all time female athlete in swimming, not in other sports, but in swimming. Yeah. And they did whatever it took. And even if it meant they didn't want to go, they went. And that was inspiring to themselves. They self-inspired themselves to achieve their goals. And by doing that, look what has happened since then. When Michael won all these records, set all these records and won all these medals, it just paved the way for others to go in and do the same thing. And almost every one of his records are broken. It's like Roger Bannister running under the 3-minute mile or 4-minute mile.
4-minute mile. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Nobody would do it. Nobody thought it was possible.
Right.
Until he did it. And then how many people have done it now?
Within a year, like 4 people had done it. And then after that, it's, oh my gosh, hundreds of people have done it.
Yeah.
If not more.
Exactly.
Those are the kind of things that you, that just by getting up and moving and not telling yourself, oh, woe is me, poor me, it's feeling sorry for yourself. That's what's going to keep your body and keep your mind yourself. It reminds me of that little story I saw when I was a little kid in school. The train that said it could. And I don't even remember the name of the story, but it was like the little train that said it could. And he would pull the big train up the hills. I think I can. I think he never said he couldn't do it. And that I've remembered that movie since I was in like kindergarten.
Yeah.
And I don't think they show it to kids anymore, but it was one of those things where I thought, my gosh, that I'm going to be like that train. I can. And that was in the back of my mind. Even just here I am at 60, almost 65 years old. And I'm still remembering that story I saw when I was 6 years old,
Right.
It's amazing. It just depends on if what you hear is positive and what you hear is inspiring to you to want to achieve more. That's what I believe, that I was raised in that atmosphere. I was raised in an atmosphere of athletics. And those were the things my coaches taught me. And when I became a coach, those were the things I wanted to pass on to my kids that I was teaching and coaching, that they realized if they tell themselves they can, they will. If they tell themselves they can't, they won't. Either way, you're right. It's crazy.
Well, I don't, for some reason, something that you said reminded me of, it was you doing your thing in the hospital and proving to the nurses that you weren't going to quit. Have you ever seen the movie Secondhand Lions?
I have not.
Oh my gosh, Jimmy. All right. That's your homework tonight.
Yes.
That's what you're watching. There's a spot in there where it's about two uncles of this kid that's the turns out to be the main character of the movie. But anyway, I won't spoil it for you, but there was one spot in there that toward the end of the movie, and there he was talking about somebody going out with their boots on. He went out with his boots on, like he didn't let somebody else drag him out of life. He went out on his terms. He went out with his boots on, and that's what I hear when you're talking, man. It's like nobody's in charge but me, man. I'm gonna, no surgery's gonna kick my butt. So
it's funny you say that, because literally that's what I said to myself. I said, all my life I've realized that, and this is another thing that you might hear in business, that you can either build your own dream or you're going to get somebody else's dream.
That's right.
And when I realized, my dream is not to go out here. My dream was to have my own company and to teach these kids that they can do anything they want if somebody believes in them, if they start to believe in themselves. The hardest thing now, and I honestly believe this, is that not enough kids are told that, hey, we believe in you. You can do this. You got this. We're right behind you all the way. And maybe it's just because of the generations that some of the parents weren't taught that, and I have always told my kids, I'm going to believe in you until you believe, and that's
my belief. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That makes a difference for them.
Yeah. I mean, I can say that's been my experience with my parents too. I'm so thankful, so eternally thankful for my parents. They're still around. Like they're thriving. You know, they're awesome. They're only in their 70s. They got a long way to go. But I mean, growing up with all this brain surgery stuff, man, it could have been very easy for them to say, whoa, let's get you in a bubble. Or,
Right.
you know, no, don't do that. You have a thing in your head. You're sick. You know, never did I ever hear that. It was always, you can do whatever you want. Do whatever you want, man. Like, don't go bang your head against the wall. Don't play football. Don't be dumb. You know,
Right.
You got a thing in your head that you got to keep intact. But I mean, you know, they were never one to make a big deal of it. They never treated me as a sick person. They treated me as as a kid that's just going to be a kid and just, you know, go do your thing, you know. And I think if I had been treated differently, like more of a patient, I think my life would have turned out very different. But because I was never restricted, well, I shouldn't say never restricted. That makes it sound like they never said no to me. That's definitely not the case. But you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's giving that attitude of, oh my gosh, okay, I can do stuff, you know? Yeah. So
it's
awesome.
it's funny, you know, you're talking about that situation when being involved in coaching and watching how things have changed, because I started so long ago, watching how things have changed in 40 years.
Oh, yeah.
You don't get a ribbon unless you deserve that ribbon, right? That's what you learn.
Thank you.
And
yeah,
right. And then now it's like, why isn't my kid getting a ribbon? Just because he's here. And I said, no, they didn't do anything to deserve it. Well, he's here. No, that's not what it's all about. You
Come
have
on,
to prove
man.
to yourself you can do something.
That's right.
And I said many times to the kids, you know, that guys, girls, we have to show that we are deserving of winning. You know, we have to show that we're going to put in the time to do what it takes to improve. We're going to have to show that we're going to see what the best are doing and then do what they're doing. So we can learn from that. We don't get a ribbon just for being there, because what does that do? And what does that teach? That teaches them, well, I get something for nothing. You know, you don't get anything in life for nothing.
No.
Nothing.
No, you don't get a reward for converting carbon dioxide or oxygen into carbon dioxide. That's not a thing. Yeah, yeah, that's not a talent. Sorry, guys. Oh man.
Oh my God. That's hilarious. So,
I heard somebody say that one time. I thought it was perfect. You know, just converting oxygen into carbon dioxide is not a talent, you know? So, yeah.
That's a natural philosophy that happens, that natural thing that happens in your body when you're breathing.
That's right. That's built in. You don't get a reward for
your
that.
brain doesn't even think about it. It just happens. So
nope.
It's one of those things where I remember my first day here in Valencia, my first week or so of coaching. I'm in Valencia, California right now. And we had our first competition, and all my kids were brand new. And there were only a few ribbons that were won. And so I had a whole sit down with the whole team. Yeah. And I gave out the couple of ribbons right in front of everybody, right? Now, most people are saying,
as you should.
Jim, don't do that. You're making everybody else feel bad. And I said, what? No. I'm making everybody else feel like they got to work hard enough to deserve one of these.
That's
right. I'm teaching them that you don't get something in life for nothing. And, it was a little bit of a momentary argument with some of the parents, but then when they realized what I was teaching their kids, that, okay, well, maybe you're right, but again, the whole philosophy of life around today's kids were, let's give them something for nothing so they get more than what we got. And I just don't believe in that. I don't believe that life is going to be good to you. Look what it did to me. I mean, you only heard about my heart surgery. I worked in the motion picture industry, and I fell off a roof at Universal Studios back in 2000, and I broke both of my hips, not even knowing that I broke my hips. I had crushed the cartilage, so I only fractured one of the bones, and I'm like, God, it hurts a little bit, but I'm just going to keep on working, because that was my philosophy. Keep on working, kid.
Yeah.
And I was new in the business, and you're making a lot of money there. So I just kept on going. Well, about 8 months later, I couldn't even get my leg in the car. So I went to the hospital, and I had insurance, and I said, what's going on with my hip? I thought it was my tool belt. Keep messing my hip up. And they said, did you fall? And I went, uh-oh. Now I'm an idiot, because I didn't even go see a nurse. And I was just, being that, I'm going to say, being from that military family that I came from, it was like, go kid, you broke your finger. Let's just tape your hand, get back in the game.
Suck it up, buttercup. Yeah.
Unfortunately, my Marine father was a lot like that. As a coach, I'm not like that anymore. Nor was I ever.
Yeah.
But I kind of lost my track of story when I was oh God, I forgot what I was just now getting ready to tell you. The final part of that story.
You know what?
That's okay.
You know what? Collect your thought.
Yep.
We're going to go to a break. That'll give you a little time.
Perfect.
Collect your thought. We'll pick up the story where you left off, man. I promise. It'll come to you. Don't worry.
No problem.
It'll come to you. Everybody stick around. We got a little more of the story to tell. Come on, man. Time flies too fast. We're almost done, but we got a little more left. So stick around and we'll see you on the other side of the break.
Hey everybody, Craig Tomanini here, founder and CEO of Ask Craig T, and I wanted to do a quick reminder about our podcast every Friday, 9 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. You can find us on YouTube and on all of our social media platforms, so be sure you tune in. Don't miss all the valuable information we're going to give you about how to scale your business using technology.
Hi, I'm Jake, co-founder and CEO of One Hope. My friends and I started this company in 2007 out of the back of this truck, on a mission to enrich people's lives through wine. Today, we've grown into a state-of-the-art Napa Valley winery that proudly houses a portfolio of award-winning wines which have touched lives through over 40,000 nonprofits at home and around the globe. And it's happening every day. Being rooted in local communities and contributing to initiatives that uplift neighborhoods, celebrate cultures, and promote community. It's what got us here. You see, through every bottle sold, your purchase can make a direct impact on the causes you care about. One Hope's cause of choice has given back over $10 million and counting.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Greg Russell. I'm the host of TechnologyTuesday.com. You can find us on the Conscious Business TV network every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the latest resources to help you make more money in your business. Join us on E360 TV. Come on.
Hey everybody! Before we bring Jimmy back for the last part of the show, and we got some really cool stuff, by the way, so stick around. But before we bring him back, I want to talk to you about Invisible Condition University, or ICU for short. And ICU basically, we empower you to face whatever invisible condition you or a loved one may be facing by providing a community that listens, that cares, that walks with you no matter what you're going through. You'll be part of a community that meets twice a month so that you can have a safe place for you and your loved one and your caregiver, whoever's involved in your care, whoever's helping you along, to come and ask questions, get support, or really just find some hope. This is something I wish I would have had 10 years ago. Since 2013, I've had 6 surgeries. 4 of those are brain surgeries, and this would have been amazing. So I am doing this out of a need that I saw, and I can't wait for you to join me. Invisible Condition is only $17 a month, and I'm going to give you the first month for free. So go to InvisibleConditionUniversity.com or scan the QR code, and I would love to see you there. The next show, the next time that we will be meeting is going to be the 3rd Tuesday of May, whatever that is. I didn't even look. 3rd. So whatever that is, third Tuesday of May, the 20th. May 20th will be the next time we meet. So you got plenty of time. Jump on here, and I'd look forward to seeing you there. So, all right, let's take this Don off of here and get Jimmy's back on here and get Jimmy back on here. Whoops. Whoa. Welcome to live TV. Apparently the button pusher isn't doing his job here. There we go. All right. Oh, wait, that's me. Whoops. All right, here we go, man. So, all right, first thing I want to do is talk about your books, man, because you're a speaker. You're also an author, and you're in a couple of their compilation books, and then right for the first couple of them, and then you're coming out with your own book soon, I think, right?
Correct.
So I'm going to put one up here, and you tell me. I don't know which one was first. I don't think we talked about that, but
I'll give you the little. There it is in the camera.
One?
That was the first book, first compilation book.
All right, nice. So there's the first one. You can see the pictures on the back. Jimmy's one of them right there. Yep. So tell us about what is this book? I see the title. It's pretty self-explanatory, but what was the idea of writing in this one?
The idea of this book was to talk about what you've done and how you've made that business successful, what you've done to overcome challenges. I think one of the things I say in the book is your biggest challenge should be achievement. And that's in my chapter. And most of the entrepreneurs in here are some very successful, extremely high money making entrepreneurs. And they've given some great tips on what to do for your business. So it was a good book to be in. Craig Duswalt, the guy that is the main coach for my mastermind group, one of my coaches on my mastermind groups that I'm in, and the main author of this book. And he's, I think, written, 12 books between him and his wife. And is a great entrepreneur himself. So
amazing.
In order to find what you want to do, sometimes you have to find a coach or somebody that you have to ask for help.
Right?
You know,
yes.
You can't just go do this by yourself.
I mean, well, you can, but you'll be part of that 80% whatever of
83% that fails.
That don't make it. Yeah. So always a coach is a good idea. Yeah. The right coach is a good idea. That's right.
And sometimes we have to ask for more than one. Like you and I know, and I'm just going to say his name on the air, is Paul Fink, who's another great guy.
And I have that one in common. Yeah. I love Paul. Yeah. Yeah.
And then I have a speaking coach who my friend Craig went to, James Malinchek, who is one of the top speakers in the country. And he's helping me with my keynotes and creating my outline for what I'm going to talk about. And he's got some of the top speakers right now in the country. The number one speaker for college markets 2 times in a row is in my mastermind. Come
on. That's
anyway,
awesome.
I'm just very excited about that. The second book I did was this one with Kevin Harrington, Building Wealth and Building Legacy. And there was 12 of us.
Nice. That's amazing.
That's Kevin and I right there at the book signing.
That's cool.
That's awesome. I will tell you that he interviewed me at James Malinchek's home, and that's how we got to know each other. Even though I never really was a big fan of Shark Tank, I decided to check it out a few times. And I said, well, this is pretty good. You learn a little bit about what businesses are doing and learn the numbers of what businesses are doing and what they're making and what their ROI is and what does it cost to get a lead. And so I said to myself, maybe these are the kind of people I need to be associated with, not just the other coaches who are coaching swimming or not just my own the speakers that are talking about things. I need to be associated with those that are doing things, that have done it, been there, done that, because that's how I feel as a coach. I've been doing this for 30 years. I'm not a newbie when it comes to teaching people how to overcome obstacles to achieve your goals. I'm not a newbie at that. And that's what caused me to find Kevin, just like you and I have found Paul and like I've also found James. My other book, it's only my story. I'm the only author in the book, and it's where I'm from. I was born in Cincinnati, Ohio, and it talks about where I was born and my family, my athletic career, which began when I was a child, probably at age I'm going to say 6 or 7 when I was actually playing t-ball and baseball. And then they got me into football at 8. And I think I was the only one in my family that wanted to try swimming. And that was before the 70s, because I came to California in 71. So I went to the YMCA, and I was the only one to pass this class and get asked to be on the team. And then my parents at that time didn't want to. I didn't know that. But we ended up in California, where my mother's from. My father's from Ohio. Wow. And after the 72 Olympics, seeing Mark Spitz, I said, I want to do that. And so I ended up going to the pool by myself. I rode my bike to the local pool and found the team without my parents, and came back with the paperwork and said, hey, I'm joining this. And they said, what? You know, they were both,
and the rest is history.
It's a funny story because my parents were divorced, and then we came to California. My parents reunited here in California, got remarried, and even though they separated again for another year, they ended up back together for the last 25 years of my mother's life.
Nice.
And it's one of those stories where they just couldn't figure it out, you know.
Well,
and they realized they both loved each other. And now my dad, who's in his 80s, he's 87.
Nice.
He's also experiencing heart problems. And, you know, it is what it is. At least I got to see him last week in Florida. I was in Florida. So awesome. I got to visit with my father. We were talking about my final book, you know, and I also wanted to say I was talking about what parents are doing with their kids now, you know, wanting to get that ribbon and understanding that there's nothing in life that's free. I want to go back to that thought and just say that.
Well, we got about a minute left. So what, or 2 minutes, about 2 minutes left. So what do you want to, go ahead.
Real quickly. I just want to bring back the philosophy that there's nothing in life that's free. And no matter what it is, you've got to, make up your mind. That's what you want to do. That's why you've got to become, you know, serious about what it is you're doing. That's why you got to want to win. You got to want to be better than where you are. You've got to be inspirational. And sometimes that means self-inspirational. And then you've got to be motivational. And by being motivational, that could motivate your entire team. So I just want to say that as we get ready to close, that the S.W.I.M philosophy can work for anyone in any business at any time in life.
You're absolutely right. And that's what I love about it. And that's, that might just be the title of the show, the S.W.I.M philosophy. I think that might just be the title of the show. We're just going to throw it out there, but we'll figure that out too. But man, I love that philosophy, and I love what you're doing. And I can't wait to see where your biography goes, and can't wait to see you in person someday at one of Paul's events. It'll be fun. So
we will, Jeff. I promise. I know.
I know we keep missing each other at all these things.
Well, I think we were together at the very first event in Vegas.
There you go.
But I was just out of surgery and staying away from everybody.
No worries.
Deborah and I were the only two that spoke to each other. You know, his poor wife, God rest her soul, who passed away from cancer. Yeah. But we had both had open heart surgery. You know, she had open heart surgery and I had a heart transplant. So we had to stay away from people that had any type of rejection medication. Keeps us from having a way to fight off any kind of colds.
Right.
You know, so I didn't get near too many people.
No, I get it. I understand why, but
not because I'm not friendly, because I am.
I know. You know, but for today,
my mask and be in front of all the people.
Yeah. For today, we're out of time, but good Lord, Jimmy, thank you for your story, man. And thank you for all the cool stuff you're doing and for getting the word out about never giving up, man. I love your S.W.I.M philosophy and I love what you're doing. And I appreciate you being here, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Absolutely. Stick around. We'll chat in a minute.
You got it.
All right. Oh my gosh. All right, everybody. Here we go. I learn something new every day, every show. All right, everybody, like, subscribe, share, all the things, you know, no matter where you're watching, thank you so much for being here. Join us for our next show on Tuesday, May 6th. And until then, have an amazing day, and we'll see you next time. As soon as I find that, there it is. We'll see you next time. Thank you for being here.